Welcome everybody to our Ask Joe call. We're going to get started in just a couple of seconds. You can submit any question that you have inside the Zoom chat and I'll be happy to answer it. We also have a lot of questions that were pre-submitted ahead of time, so I'm going to pull those up as well. Welcome again to our Ask Joe call. I'm going to dive right in. First question comes in from Carol, and Carol says, my personal credit's very strong, so that's good. But every time I speak with someone about acquiring business credit, they claim it can happen quickly within a few weeks. Once I sign up, it turns to a long list of unexpected requirements tied to my personal credit. For example, Fund and Grow initially told me I just needed to pay down $6,100 to get below 35% usage. I paid down much more than that and I have no negative marks. But after signing up, they changed the requirements and said all my cards need to be under 35. What was supposed to take 2 weeks turned into 6 weeks, no progress. I requested a refund because I no longer trust the process. I currently have a seasoned company. So seasoned to us, by the way, means more than 2 years old. You can usually get business lines of credit at the 2 year mark, and under 2 years old usually is business credit cards. Here's a question. What's actually required to start acquiring business credit? If I already have excellent personal credit, is there a legitimate, reliable way to make this happen quickly? So yes, there is. Let's open a Google Doc because I'm a visual person and I think it's easier to explain. So personal credit, there's the way that I do the process, I work mostly with local community banks and credit unions. So we just ideally we want to see your utilization at 25% or less. And you don't actually need to have all of your cards under 35% or 25%, right? So it's okay if you have one at 90% and one at 2%. So what you look at is a cumulative score, a total score, and I have something that can help you here. This is called the Personal Credit Basics document. I'm going to drop this in the chat, and then I'm also going to label it here on our cheat sheet, Personal Credit Basics. This will answer a lot of the questions that came up, by the way. So even if this isn't your question, I'd still pay attention. So there's three things that we're going to look at when we're getting business credit. Oldest trade line, ideally we want to have 10 years or older. Highest credit limit, ideally we want to have $10,000 or higher. And utilization in a perfect world, 25% or less. If your utilization is higher than that, that is okay, but these are targets. Down at the bottom here is a credit utilization chart that you can use. When you do this, you can actually figure out what your credit utilization is. So in your example, if your credit utilization is like 33%, 35%, we're actually looking at just the total credit utilization, not per card. So can you get funding in a few weeks? If somebody comes to me and they have 35% credit utilization, you could get funding very quickly. Today's June 24th. If you were to go get the NAV Prime card, we'll pull that up. So let's go get how many of you in the chat, let me know if you have Nav Prime already. So if you get this Nav Prime account with a Nav Prime card, you can get two trade lines reporting and as early as 2 weeks from now. So as early as the first week in July. So you get the Nav Prime account at the end of June, you'll have it by the next month. So within a couple of weeks, you could have at least one positive trade line reporting to all three business credit bureaus. Thank you, Tasha. Tasha says, yes, I have it. So what we look at, and I'll make this a little bit more organized, right? So there's business credit trade lines, and you have your starting, and then you have your long-term goal. So as a start, DMV, you want to have at least one Experian Business One, Equifax Business One. You can get there immediately just by getting a NAV Prime account. Long term, so put here long term goal, three trade lines or more on all three. Okay. And then we go into something a little bit more detail, which is your SBSS score. So we'll talk about that probably later. So how fast can you get there? Yeah, you could realistically get there in a couple of weeks. Now, here's the thing. Why are they so nitpicky? It's because it's done for you. So with Business Credit Workshop, we're not doing it for you. We're not getting you funding and then charging you 10% of what we get you, right? So we get you 100 grand, you owe us $10,000. We don't do that. We just charge for information, data, membership communities, coaching, that sort of thing. So what that means is that I could bring anyone on, even if their credit's less than perfect. So if you're doing a done for you, you find the perfect client. If they don't fit that box, they can't help you. I don't like that. So for me, if you're not perfect, we're going to fix you up a little bit, right? I mean, what would be the point of hiring a business credit coach if you already had a perfect set of circumstances? You wouldn't need to work with me. Chris says, do we put it under a business name? Yes. So you get the NAV Prime account with the NAV Prime card, and you do get it under your business name. And it'll boost up all three business credit scores with Dun& Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax As little as a couple of weeks. It can take longer, but if we do it today, you will have it by, actually, let's be literal. You'll have it by 8 to 9 days from now. Just pretty, very fast. So, Carol, just to answer your question, to summarize, is there a legitimate, reliable way to make this happen quickly? Yes. Your utilization is good enough to proceed, although ideally we want to get your total cumulative utilization under 25%. Secondly, go get the NAV account to boost up your business credit scores so that you at least have one trade line on all three business credit bureaus. The goal of getting three or more. How do you get the three or more? You would open up additional Net 30 vendor accounts, Quill, Uline, Granger, all of those guys, eCredible. Those are great accounts to use to boost up your business credit score. If I ever say something that you don't know what I'm talking about, don't hesitate to ask any questions, okay? Everyone here is going to have different experience level with getting business credit. Okay, so everyone's welcome, whether you've got a million plus like me or you're trying to get your first business credit card, this is your call. But we're all here together, help each other. So that's the Net 30 vendor list, and you can pick other vendor accounts that will boost up your business credit score for your long-term goal of getting the three trade lines. But in the meantime, just get the NAV Prime account if you needed to get funding within a couple of weeks. Next question comes from Eric. He says, I followed you for some time. Thank you. I haven't pulled the trigger. Do we ever get to speak to you directly versus just through social media? So there is a group coaching that I offer on Zoom, and we take you on to camera and you can actually talk to me with your microphone back and forth. So it's a little more advanced than today's Ask Joe call where you're just typing in a Zoom chat. We actually do get to talk back and forth. If you want to learn more about coaching, you can go to bcwcoaching.com and just click get your case study, drop in your email, and on the next page you can apply for coaching. Please watch the video first. It's under 5 minutes. It'll explain what coaching looks like with me. But that's a great question, and I'll drop the link in the chat. Joyce says, thank you for all these. You're welcome. So thank you, Eric. Good question. All right. Tammy says, I have an LLC for a startup online business as a digital creator. My personal credit's in the 670 range, and I need credit to launch marketing campaigns. Not sure if my business being so new can get me rejected and damage my personal credit, which I'm trying to improve. So, by the way, rejections on the business side will not damage your personal. I've always had it at 775 average, but a recent dental bill got it lowered even though I'm paying all my credit cards on time. So that would be something I would want to dispute, by the way. Personal credit basics document, we have two different ways that you can dispute negative items. You could always use a credit repair company. You could use the credit secrets program, which is great. Or you could call my friend Joe Tanzola, who does credit repair. And I've worked with him since 2007. That's his info right there on the screen. Okay, my question is twofold. Will asking for business credit affect my personal credit due to hard pulls? It will, yes, affect your personal credit. Business credit cards and lines of credit are unsecured. They do require a personal guarantee, a PG. The impact is usually very minimal. So, for example, I'll do 5 or 6 applications at once. I'll get a few inquiries on my personal credit report. It's not a big decrease on my personal credit score. My business credit usage does not affect my personal credit score though. So if I get that 100K, 50K, 25K, I max it out. It's not messing me up on the personal credit score side. Second question though was, could I get business credit even though my business is new? Thank you in advance, Joe, for your reply. So the answer is yes, you can get business credit even if you're new. And let's talk about, many of you may have the funding database. If so, can you let me know in the chat? Just type in yes if you have the funding database that we sell. So the funding database, all right, Joyce has it, Michelle has it, Chris has it. Awesome. Okay, so the funding database, here it is. There's two things, right? There's business credit card banks, and then there's top SBA lenders. So if you want to know somewhat of the short story of how I built this, I went on the SBA.gov website and I looked at all of the data, all the banks that are the top lending banks in each state. And it was cumbersome to constantly pull the data state by state. So we put together a database of all 50 states. And these are the top lending banks as per the SBA. So there's small business lending banks in each state. So when you're looking for startup friendly banks, let's go to like New Jersey because I live here. It'll be the easiest example. But I do know most of the states. In other words, off the top of my head, I kind of know all of the banks that are the top lending banks of the 446 by heart because I've been doing it for a long time, right? Whatever, I don't know, 10, whatever 2007 is till now. I mean, it's a long time. Anyways, Provident Bank, Valley, Financial Resources Federal Credit Union. These are some of the banks here that are startup friendly. So a lot of backyard banks that we work with, they're not well-known banks like Chase or Amex or the Bank of America, right? You can get business credit from them, but what we do is a little bit different. We work with local community banks and credit unions, these top SBA lenders, these little known banks, right? Even like PNC is really good, or Citizens, which is on this list. Even though, and that's another hack. If you, I don't know if you guys are on my text message community. If you are, you're getting free training that no one else can get. You're not getting that training on if you're on my email list. So if you want to be on my text message community, please let me know. But there's a hack that I show you guys where you can grab banks from other states and then get funding from it in your state, even though they're not listed in your state. And it's not just the foreign entity filing. That's just one way. There's another way. So anyways, so banks like Citizens Bank offer, they're called portfolio lenders, portfolio banks. That means they lend their own money and the lending's not done by a third party. Okay. So when Tammy asks, can I get business credit even though my business is brand new? I'm going to start checking off these questions so I know where I'm at. The answer is yes, but you want to work with a local community bank credit union that is startup friendly. All right, question came in here from Tasha. My personal credit is decent. 706, 711, 748. My utilization's at 13. That's actually very good. I have one late payment from August 2024, so almost a year old. The impact of a late payment will be the hardest the first year. I'm currently disputing it. It's not been deleted. Is it okay for me to speak to banks and get funding? Yeah. And then you wrote, no, I don't have the list. How do I get it? I can give you the link. I'll drop some links here today. It's $7. This is the list, the funding database. You can just click the link in the Zoom chat, grab it for $7, and then you'll see what we're talking about. Okay, so is it okay to go get funding? Yes, you're welcome. Yes, it is. You want to open a business checking account first, Tasha, and have like I get 5 or 6 banks, but even 2 or 3 is good. So you want to have an established account with these banks first because it's easier to get approved for them if you have a discrepancy on your credit. If you are working with a local bank and you already have a business checking account with them because you're in their database. You're a friend. A lot easier than just doing credit stacking and applying online with Chase.com or something like that. Joyce had a question. I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. So Joyce asks, my personal credit is at 649, but I have a full utilization with 2 cards, and I'm recovering from debt consolidation. Is there hope for me if I start NAV? Yeah. So I would still get NAV, and you're gonna boost 2 things separately. You are gonna boost your business credit score separate from your personal credit profile. It is 2 separate profiles. When it comes time to apply for funding, you want to try to get your 649 a little bit higher, closer to the 680 mark. And that's kind of a short answer. Tasha says, how much should I put in the accounts? The minimum to put in a business checking account is whatever their minimum is. If I put in, like, for example, one of these banks on the funding database, the $7 funding database, is in New Jersey, was Financial Resources Federal Credit Union. This guy, 282. Bank 282, I put $100 in. That's it. I just put $100 in. Now I have an account. And then a couple weeks later, I applied for the business credit card and I got $25,000 from that bank. They pull business and personal credit. This is the credit union, great credit union to work with. I've done cash out refis with them. I do real estate with them as well. They are like many of these little banks, little compared to like a large national bank, a lot, So many of these backyard banks, relationship based. You got to go there and you shake hands. But it's easier to get approved from them than a big national bank because if you talk to BOA or Chase or Amex, you're talking to customer service, may or may not be in America, and they don't really care too much about you, right? You got to fit inside of the box. Okay, when you talk with a local credit union like Financial Resources, there's actually a conversation, some dialogue, and some level of understanding that national banks don't have the patience to hear you out on. They're just too busy. All right, good questions, good questions. So let's jump back to our list. Tasha says, how do I get rid of a late payment that's almost a year old? It takes time. It's not going to be quick or easy. And you can read the Credit Secrets ebook and learn about the process of disputing negative items and what to do to a lender that doesn't take a late payment off. A lot of times they violate the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and then you kind of shove that in their face and use that as leverage to get the late payment removed. That's the premise behind that book, in my opinion. And then next, you could call and just get a free consult and see if you want to hire a different credit repair company to see if they could help you out with that. If you need a line of credit for capital, will I do the same process for credit cards? Yeah. So all the business lines of credit that I do, the applications are called short two-page applications. They're called no doc applications, similar to business credit cards. Also, Michelle is sharing the most recent info on reporting medical debt to credit bureaus looks very disputable now. How can I become a member of a credit union in a state? This is a great question, guys. Elena asks, how can you become a member of a credit union or a bank in another state apart from filing a foreign entity with the state secretary of state? Why would you do it apart from that? It's like, how do I get a spouse to marry me without getting them to fall in love with me? Like, why skip the best part? Just do that part. So I would file a foreign entity filing. Don't take the answer away and then make your question impossible to answer. Just go with the path. Even it's like, oh, my friend, his name is Joe, whatever. He posted on Facebook and I lost some weight. I've been working out. I did gluten free and all that stuff. And he's like, how do I lose weight without taking these shots or working out? And I'm like, what are you talking about? The answer to lose the weight is to eat differently every day for the rest of your life and work out. Like, hello. So what we want to do is look at, I'm not making fun of you, I'm just having fun. So I did a training on how to get funding from local banks in other states. And the answer is the foreign entity filing. So the question really is, what's your objection with the foreign entity filing? When we share with people to do a foreign entity filing, for example, you could file one in New Jersey for $125. You'll have it in about 20 minutes. But when we tell people, like, let's just pretend, let's do a real life example, okay? I'm in New Jersey. I want to buy real estate in Bethlehem, PA, okay? I also bought real estate in Texas. Love Texas. Very small business owner friendly state. Florida. Love Florida. California, not so business friendly, okay? So, I have family in Florida. I have real estate in Texas. I have real estate in PA. I have family in Massachusetts. I have a natural reason as to why I would expand my business and file a foreign entity filing in Pennsylvania because I'm looking to buy real estate there. I have a natural reason as to why I would expand to Florida because I have family there. As long as you have a normal, like you're allowed, by the way, to file anywhere you want. We are still red-blooded Americans. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. You can file wherever you want. The bank also has the freedom to say, take a hike. I don't know who you are. So that's where the negotiation comes. And then the best way to make everyone feel warm and fuzzy is to have a natural explanation as to, hey, Elena, what brings you to Florida? And if you say, oh, I filed a foreign entity filing because I want to get your business line of credit, I'm going to go with higher than 50% chance they're going to say, I'm not comfortable opening the account. Okay. Now, if you say, oh, my parents have a little tiny house here on the West Coast, I'm here all the time, I have clients here, I'm looking to expand, that's enough. That little 10-second explanation, we're good. We're good to move forward. So the foreign entity filings are good. If you don't know what that means, just write it down in your notes as something to look at later in your business career. But you can do them through LegalZoom. I just do it through the Secretary of State website at this point because it's generally easier. You can hire an attorney, you can hire a CPA. I'll take this moment to do a quick but important disclosure that I'm not a CPA, I'm not a lawyer. I do recommend that you speak to one before proceeding. Can't give you any legal or tax advice. So with respect to websites like Zoom, you'll just pay them the fee and they do the filing for you. Okay. Now you should ask, do I need an address, a phone number, a new DUNS number, a new business credit profile built at that address, the foreign entity filing? Because I'm in Pennsylvania and I want to get money from Financial Resources Federal Credit Union in New Jersey. And the answer is yes. You should have a new presence in that state. Tasha says, got it. This is extremely helpful. All right. You're welcome. Okay, Ronald. Ronald, I don't see you, my friend. However, happy to answer your question. How do I get business funding with low credit scores and low to no income? So the low to no income we answered earlier, which was really a matter of working with backyard banks and banks that allow you to project revenue, like First National Bank of PA, for example, specifically on their application says, what's your business projection revenue for next year? They do not ask you what your revenue is. They ask you what your projection is. So there's a handful of banks. And just so you know, because sometimes I say, oh, a lot of banks. If you take, there's about 4,000 banks that we interviewed in America. And the top 10% of them is like 446 of them, right? And those are the ones on the list. If you only work with the top 5 or 10% of banks, you're in good shape. It's just like if you had a heart issue and you want to go meet a cardiologist. There's 200 cardiologists near you. You want to find the top 5 or 10%. That's enough to save your life, okay? So with banks, finding 5, 10% of the banks that do no doc or startup friendly, yeah, you are getting 9 out of 10 banks to say no, but the 1 out of 10 says yes. That is worth PNC, Citizens, Valley, First National Financial Resources, TD Bank, M&T Bank. I could go all day on these banks. 50, 25, 75, $100,000 each. So it's worth significant amounts of money. Half a million, $1 million in funding. If you just get over the fact that I know Bank of America turned you down, and there are backyard banks that want to talk to you, that need your business. All right, anyways, so what do I do about the bad credit thing? So we do credit repair, credit boosting, or credit partner. The whole premise behind the Underdog approval system is how I used a credit partner when I had a very bad credit score and I was still able to get 100 grand in business credit, even though my personal credit was bad. I used a credit partner. Now, half of my students will say, I don't have a credit partner. I know, my friend, I didn't have one either. Don't you get it? It's like saying, I don't have a six pack. I know we don't have that. We're gonna go get it. We're gonna go build it. We're gonna go find it. We're gonna go create it. If it was easy, like, right, it wouldn't really be worth it. So you have to go to networking events. You gotta start talking to some friends and family. Okay, we're not talking about pitching an MLM here, but go to a couple real estate club meetings and shake hands, and then go to month two and shake hands again. See who's showing up. If you're lucky enough to be in the real estate industry, many of the people that attend these events are already used to doing joint ventures, are already used to doing partnerships. And if you're sharing, what I did is I shared equity with a family friend. She knew that I was starting my real estate business, and I said, I'll give you 50% of the first three deals I do. Talking about a lot of money, like $25,000 per flip, right? If I'm making 50 or 60 grand a deal. But I want to use your credit as my credit partner because my credit is not great. And that's what's in it for me. And here's what's in it for you. And then, so the Underdog approval system, it explains the whole process of using a credit partner. We have a credit partner playbook, how to find one, what documents to sign, how to put stuff in writing to protect both of you. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is. Where to find one, business partners, investors, friends of family, communities, local networking events, real estate club meetings, things like that. What they look like, how to structure your agreement, and all of that. All right. If you want a copy of that, let me know. Who would be your top 5 banks? I just mentioned them. Rewind this replay about 30 seconds ago. And do we need to age the business? You don't have to age it. You can open the account and age it for a week. It could be, here, I'll give you this document here. Let me drop it here too. You want a copy of that? Okay, there you go. That's it. That's the credit partner playbook. Don't tell nobody I gave it to you. So yeah, I opened business checking out a week later. I'm applying. You can do 1 or 2 deposits. It doesn't have to be that serious with a backyard bank. All right, that was the question from Ronald. Thank you, Ronald. Mike has a question that's pretty much the same. Okay, this is a good question from Elena. I think it's here. I'm going to start paraphrasing some of these, but is there a way around the credit card balance to successfully apply for a business credit card without a credit partner? All right, so that's a good question. So let's jump back to personal credit basics. And now we're in the credit utilization chart. And you mentioned in your post or your question that one of the balances at the credit card balance is over 85%. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go deep on that one topic. So there's the authorized user technique, which we share in the personal credit basics training. A lot of the stuff obviously is inside of your training. So sometimes I'm going to keep pointing you back there, like, hey, just spend the time, it's going to be worth it. But maybe you need to attend this call first and then be like, okay, Joe's the real deal. Okay, now I'll spend an hour to go through his training. So we have ways to improve credit utilization. Pay down your debt, transfer your credit card balance to your business. That's what I did. Credit limit increase. So my wife did. She called her credit card companies, got a credit limit increase. And then lastly, we have the U technique, the authorized user technique. So the authorized user technique is the way that we did it here internally at my house is I added my wife Claire as an authorized user to my Amex, which has $0 balance, $20,000 limit. So now I add her as an A. Within 3 weeks, it shows on her credit utilization that she has, and I always use the same example. So on their little spreadsheet, we have an A. Like if you look at, if I don't have the AU, it's at 46%. If I add this, utilization is at 33%. It's a lot easier to get approved at 33 than it is if you're above 40. Now, a lot of people tell me I don't have an AU. Again, I know you don't, but that's like, you don't know what you don't have until you start asking. And yeah, you got to put yourself out there. Are there websites that offer authorized users? There are, and that's not one of them. But I will pull them up here, and you guys can do your own due diligence, interview them. You can see if this is something you're comfortable with. I can tell you that even as long ago as 5 years and as early as a week ago, students of mine have used Tradeline Supply and personaltradelines.com, where they literally go online and they buy an authorized user online and have had good results with it. Now, the one of the risks that could happen with this is if the person that adds you as an who maxes out their card, it could jack up your credit. I haven't seen that happen, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. Okay, I like to be a little bit compliant or forthcoming. Okay, so you do your own due diligence, see if this makes sense for you. But does it work? It does work. Okay, so I will repeat that. It does work. And for getting business lines of credit and business credit cards, it works very well with improving your personal credit utilization without having to use a credit partner. It doesn't work as well for getting a mortgage and more advanced funding, but in the business credit world or business line of credit for no doc, if you're under 100K, it does work very well. So those are the two sites that you can check out, personaltradelines.com and Tradeline Supply. And that would be one thing you could do. Okay, next question comes from Robert Abraham. Robert says, "How do I get started?" Great question. You is what I would do is I would go to the training and I would go where it says start here and I would watch this video. I would attend the live calls. I would join our text message community. You know, you guys, that's me answering you. We only use a little bit of AI and automations, but majority of it is me. So if you have questions, you can text me. And you want to go through the training modules. One of the top training modules in the funding database training, it's one of the trainings I offer, is how to work with banks and how to establish credibility. And that is one of the places that I would start because you want to get banks to work with you. When you get banks to work with you and you end up getting them off this script, a lot of the questions that I get asked, I can just send a text message to the banker and say, "Hey, so and so at TD Bank. Hey, so and so at M&T Bank. I have a question. I have a late payment. This happened earlier in this call. I have a late payment from about a year ago in August. My credit score is high 600s, mid sixes. Should I apply?" And now I have someone I can talk that out with. The reason that happened is because I did this. I got a bank to work with me, and I say it's all about relationships with these local community banks, these credit unions. I am such an introvert and kind of analytical and robotic that I had to read a book on how to get friends. The name of the book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's a great book to read if you need help like me with people skills. Half of you on this call will not need to read that book, the other half of you will. So, when you're meeting with banks in person, you want to typically meet the vice president of business lending, and you can meet them at your office, you can meet them at a coffee shop, you can meet them at their bank. Here's my favorite place to meet banks, networking events. The last networking event I went to was a Latino Chamber of Commerce. Now, I'm not Latino, but I'm a big fan. I love Latino food, okay? And my wife happens to be Spanish. So I jumped over there right away. And all are welcome, okay? Doesn't matter, whatever. So I went to the Latino Chamber of Commerce event, dressed nicely, threw on a jacket, got it from Marshall's for 20 bucks, and I look like $1,000, right? So I go to the event, and guess who I'm shaking hands with? I'm shaking hands with the vice president of business lending at a local bank. Now, they're buying me food, they're buying me drinks, and I'm meeting a banker that I'm going to be asking for funding. Like, it's a win-win-win. It's a triple win. So I would highly recommend doing this. How do you get 100 grand no doc business line of credit? Because I went to the event last Wednesday and I spent an hour and a half at an event and I shook hands. And once you do that, somebody starts to know you, like you, and trust you. And if you can get someone to know you, like you, trust you, they're more likely to advocate for you. And that's what my training is all about. How to get a bank to advocate for you. Listen, if you got an 800 credit score, I know you can go online and just go apply for Chase and BOA and all that. But you're actually still going to need my training because you're going to need to find local community banks and credit unions that are beyond the big top five national banks if you want to get some serious funding. But what about the 99.9% of the rest of you that maybe don't have perfect credit, or maybe you have a startup business, or maybe you don't have any revenue yet, or whatever, you have a story. Everyone does. You got to do this. You got to meet with local community banks and credit unions. And there's training, of course, there's training on how to do that. It's inside of your training that you probably already bought, which is how to establish credibility and how to network with banks. What do I say? What do I don't say? Is there a script? All this, yes, is there. Joe, how do you pass through the initial low-level employee in the bank when you want to ask specific questions? You got to do more than one meeting. So when I went to that networking event, I got introduced to the low-level person, right? We treat them like they're the top-level person, though. We look them right in the eye, we smile. That's great. Thank you. Amazing. Great. All right. I love that. And at some point, I'm going to get past them to the vice president of business lending or the relationship manager. You'll know the conversation will change a little bit because it'll be a little more detail oriented. That's how you know you're speaking to the right person. Now remember their job. They are paid a salary to talk to you. I friend them on LinkedIn, by the way. I really do try to become professional friends with them, okay? So how do you get past them? You just say, I'm looking to get a business line of credit or business credit card. Is there someone that I could speak to? I have a couple questions. And it might take more than one try. It might take more than one bank. PNC has 5 branches near me. It might take the third branch to find the person that actually wants to answer my questions. But I'm not going to offend anyone. Not because we're super sensitive to feelings, although that's a very nice thing to do, but because we don't want to screw up a relationship or create any contention. All right, hope that helps. So, next question comes in from Conrado. Amazing name, by the way. How can a brand new business get a line of credit or a business credit card without using a PG? If you have no revenue, the answer is it's not happening. So when you get a no doc business line of credit or business credit card, and you're not showing tax returns, you're not showing financials, you have no revenue, you better have something. You need to have one of 3 legs of credit. And the easiest leg of credit is that personal guarantee. If you don't have the personal guarantee or a credit partner, you can use an asset that you have, which I prefer not to do, or you can show revenue. But you got to bring one of the 3 legs of credit. You can't say, I'm going to give you nothing and you're going to give me 25K, 50K. So there are gurus on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. But if you try to go a little bit further in their conversation beyond the 30-second reel that hooked you in, you can't find the answer because it's not real. Now, how do we know that? Call the banks on the list and ask them that question. Like I did. Go call 4,000 banks and say, I got no revenue, no nothing, no credit. I ain't giving you no assets. Can you give me money? And they'll all say no. But 5 to 10% of them will say, hey, you know what, Conrado, even though you don't have any revenue in your startup yet, I can get you 50K. Like, did you know TD Bank has a $25,000 business line of credit for startups for a brand new business? But there is a PG required. So that's how all the banks are. So there are, yes, there are people lying to you saying that there's, you get 100 grand with no PG. If you don't have revenue, that actually does not exist. If it's unsecured, meaning there's no collateral, that actually does not exist. They'll argue it, but they won't prove it. So I'm proving, I'm showing you, right? So TD Bank has a 25K no doc, meaning you don't have to show revenue. You can project your revenue. You can show them a business plan. They'll give you a template and you will create a business plan. As a business owner, you're expected to do that. So a brand new business, no revenue, no tax returns, no financials, you can still get significant amounts of funding, but you should boost up your business credit score first, and someone has to personally guarantee it. Someone has to say, if that business defaults, I'll pay it, and it's going to be you or your chief financial officer. However, good question. All right, a lot of these questions are kind of redundant, so I might skip a few. But Russ asks, what's the best way to start and get business credit with a below average personal credit score? I would go through the Net 30 vendor list. I would boost up your business credit score with the Net 30 vendors, which are over here, and follow the traditional process of building business credit as you are boosting up your personal credit or finding a credit partner. Okay. But over here on the left side, you're going to create your LLC. You're going to get a phone number. You're going to make sure you have a nice address. All right, you got to be careful with these virtual addresses, these Da Vinci's, these Opus, these virtual addresses, like these UPS mailboxes, these PO boxes. You got to be careful with that. So I'm gonna have a nice address. I'm gonna have a business that's registered with the state and in good standing. I'm gonna get the DUNS number. I'm gonna get the NAV account. I'm gonna boost up Experian, Equifax, Dun& Bradstreet. I'm gonna get all that really beautiful and perfect. And it actually is a lot easier if you're approaching a credit partner if you have all that built first. Secondly, you can just continue down the road of credit repairs, but now you have your business ready so that when your credit scores are higher, you're ready to strike. You don't want that late payment deleted and then you're like, oh, I should probably go get boost up my business credit score. No, you should have been doing that the whole time. All right. Jim says I need to urgently secure 50K in funding on or by the 25th. So tomorrow, what's the best path? So the answer is I may not have your answer. I did address this question in another area, and I mentioned at real estate clubs there are people there that will lend you cash for things but you need to have some type of asset, you or family member. So now we're talking about putting your mom's house up as collateral, and I just don't recommend that, even though I've seen it done. Business credit card would be the quickest answer. So like Capital on Tap does a business credit card. They are on your list. They're in your coaching. They're in your where are we at? Training funding database. Start here. This one. So we go to Capital on Tap. It's a soft pull. We could apply very quickly and find out relatively quickly if we can get 25K by or 50K by tomorrow. You would have to do 2 to 3 applications. So listen, obviously I'm not the fast cash guy, but I'm more of someone that wants to build something long term with you. So if that makes sense, maybe it'll take you 3 to 4 weeks instead of a couple weeks. Go through the training, it's worth it because if some I've had people wait 2 weeks for the call, and it's like, do you realize in that 2 weeks you could have went through the training and actually boosted up your business credit score so that today you could have been doing these applications? So that's something to think about. Good question though. All right, I like this question. This is from Derek. I have three active net 30 accounts. How many accounts should I have? You want to have 3 reporting accounts, not just active accounts, right? So if you have 3 active accounts, go on Nav and look how many are reporting. You need the Nav Prime account to see that. If you have 3 reporting on all 3 bureaus, you're good. The more the merrier, but you're good at that point. You could cut it off. Does TD report to personal credit bureaus? The business line of credit does not. They are saying the new business credit card is under review and they might change the way they do it. But as of a year ago, the business credit card reported to personal. The business line of credit for TD did not report to personal. The TD does have all brand new products for business credit cards though, so check them out. It's possible that it no longer reports to personal. Tasha says, if you know nothing about preparing a business plan, how do you suggest I do this correctly? Oh, all right. This is a fun question. You see me actually get a little bit comfy in the chair for that one. So let's go, Tasha. If you want, we could kind of role play a little bit and you could make it up or you could tell me what's your business do? And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to start typing. So help me prepare a business plan. Keep it short. We will be applying business credit. This is for my friend Asha. Home health with Medicare. So, and Michelle's here. Hey, Michelle. All right. So, how do you prepare a business plan if you don't really know how to do one? So, you can use a template. TD Bank does give a template for their application. So, they made this up already, which is crazy. So, one answer is, a year ago, I'd say use a template. Google it. You could even hire, like people used to pay for business plans. Now I just say use ChatGPT, use artificial intelligence. So I would say I run a home health with Medicare business. Perfect. All right, so here's your business plan. And listen, I would spend 20 minutes on this, not the 2 minutes I'm doing it right now, right? Medicare certified provider offering skilled home healthcare services to elderly and medically fragile patients in whatever city region you're in. Our licensed nurses, therapists, and home health aides deliver high quality care in the comfort of your patient's home, promoting independence, recovery, and well being. Well, I'm sold. Mission statement is to provide compassionate, professional, reliable home health care that enhances the quality of life and supports recovery at home. This is our market. These are the services we offer. This is our marketing strategy. This is our goals. Secure 75,000 business credit to support operations and growth. Hire additional clinical staff. Expand into neighboring counties. Improve billing systems and back office efficiency. Okay. What will the funds be used for? Payroll, medical equipment, upgrading our billing system, marketing and outreach to referral sources, compliance and training certifications. So that's how I would do it. So if you look at my prompts, not much to it. This is one of them. I'm just doing this for the replay so you could screenshot it. And then this is another one. So I did 2 prompts and I have a business plan. Now I can say, let's go deeper. Let's fix this. Let's take a step back. Let's make it 10 pages. I don't know, but it doesn't have to be that big. Where is the best market to expand this business that would be unique? Share. Sometimes it lets me share. Sometimes it doesn't. Let's see if I can get you a link. I think it worked. Let's see. Yes. All right, Tasha, there's your link. It's a public link. So like create your own conversation. But I think if you use that link, you can probably just keep the conversation going. And I would imagine that your dialogue at that point is between you and ChatGPT. So how do we make it unique? We always need a unique selling proposition, positioning in the marketplace that's unique in that. So you could say something like, we service rural counties near major cities because many rural areas lack quality health home care providers. So, like that could be your niche. Ethnic or cultural communities with specific needs. Many communities prefer culturally familiar caregivers. That makes a lot of sense, right? Because all of us on this call have different backgrounds and cultural differences, and how we would expect to treat the is probably somewhat different between all of us. So that was kind of a cool idea. Like, for example, what about something simple like one group that speaks Spanish or whatever? Veterans, that's a whole nother niche. All right, I'm gonna go with veterans. Let's elaborate on number four. So this is kind of what I do with ChatGPT, and then I'm gonna go deeper on veterans, just a personal thing of mine, taking care of those that put their lives on the line so I could just chill here in my air-conditioned house in my freedom. So that speaks to me, and here's an idea. So I'm not even reading all this, but it's explaining a bunch of stuff. And you could pick a niche, and now we have a business plan. And I could say, great, rewrite this into a business plan. Write out bullet points. Boom. I pay 20 bucks a month for Chat GPT. You might even be able to do this for free with the free version. I'm not sure. All right, good. Next question. Joyce asks, how low of a credit score can you have to get a card or credit line? So typically 680 or higher, but remember the personal credit basics. It's more than just score. Oldest trade line utilization, those type of things are very important. It says, how do I know? I love this question from Brian. How can I find out if I'm getting auto denied because of my virtual address? So you can ask the bank. That's the easy question answer, but I have an idea. Here it is. I found it. Okay. I almost lost it. So let's go to this application here. If you look at a business credit card application, Brian, the top of the application says, and it may be a little blurry, but what it says is business location address. That's your main physical address. That is not supposed to be a PO box or a UPS address or a virtual address. Okay. Next is business billing address. That can be a virtual address, but you give two addresses. So the easiest fix off the bad advice the other business credit gurus are giving you, which they're telling you to use a virtual address, which is actually getting you denied. Thank you for catching on to that. We're finally, Joe, I'm being heard. People are finally fighting back against the bad advice of getting virtual addresses because they're getting denied. I did a YouTube video on that a while ago with screenshots everywhere. All these people denied using virtual addresses. It's a scam. They get a kickback from the virtual address company. So if they could sell you a virtual address for 100 bucks a month, that business credit company is getting a piece of that 100 a month. So of course they open their YouTube video with step 1 of getting business credit, get a virtual address. It's bad advice. What you do to see if I'm lying or telling the truth is go call 100 banks. Go do it. Be a scientist. Go prove it yourself. Go call 100 banks. Are you okay with virtual addresses? Are you okay with virtual addresses? Are you okay? And you'll hear from a lot of banks, nah, yo, that ain't good. So what do you do? The answer is quite simple. Business credit card application has two different things. The top is the location address. That's the physical main mailing address. It has to be an office, shared office, or home address. If you're using a home address, might as well throw a suite in there. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Banks are not denying you because you have a home-based business. Chiropractors, engineers, HVAC companies, realtors, a lot of people using home addresses. You're not going to get denied because of a home address. That's not a real thing. Second part of the application is the billing address. That can be your virtual address. So if you want to put on your website, your business cards, public appearance, the virtual address, the UPS store, the Da Vinci, the Opus, the Regis, the whatever, that's fine. And now you're not exactly sharing your home address with the whole world. It is a very simple fix. It's a problem that never existed that was created to sell you virtual offices. Why not just tell the truth? That's the thing that drives me nuts. Why don't just tell people, hey, listen, like if I were to sell, I bet you I could still sell virtual addresses, but I could just tell you the proper setup. Wouldn't that be better? All right, so next question. Ooh, great question. This comes in from Robert. Robert says, can you fund two corps at one time with the same guarantor? You can, but I would space it about 2 to 3 weeks apart. So for example, I am one guarantor and I have two companies. With M&T Bank, I have two business lines of credit and two business credit cards. So I have four products, two businesses, one guarantor. You never do them all at once. Space it about 2 to 3 weeks apart. Why? Because the underwriter's gonna be a little bit overwhelmed when they see all that coming at them, and they're just gonna be like, nope, I can't do this. Apply one, get approved for one, then apply for the other. Natasha says, yes, that would be better. Thank you. How do you find out your SBSS and how are ways to improve it? That's a great question. All right, we'll do that one real quick. The answer is Nav Prime has a add-on called SBSS and you just have to buy it and it costs whatever it costs. Right. Today it's 74.99. You might be watching this replay, it might be more. That's how you get your SPSS score. How do you improve it? SPSS is a blended score on Experian for Experian Business and Experian Personal. Blended score. And the best way to improve SPSS score, there's different ways. You can just add trade lines to Business Experian. But the other way, which is quicker, is just pay off your personal credit utilization on Experian or get an A. That is the quickest way to boost up your SPSS score. You'll see this can improve your score in as little as 30 days. All right, quick commercial break. If you have an interest in working with me personally on a Zoom call where we can actually talk back and forth, you'll be on camera if you want to. At a minimum, you're going to have the microphone, right? So we can actually go back and forth. Then I would like for you to consider doing coaching with us. What I'd like for you to do is go to bcwcoaching.com or click this link, which is dropped here in the Zoom chat. You're going to see a page that looks like this, and you can grab a case study on how Greg got 500K in business credit in just a few months. All you do is click get your case study, enter in your email, and then on the next page, you're going to see a quick video that it's under 5 minutes. It explains how coaching works. Coaching includes group Zoom calls like this, coaching calls. It also includes one-to-one email support and one-to-one Loom support. So it's not phone call support. Okay, I do everything online. Loom support is very simple. You can record a video up to 5 minutes long and you shoot it to me. I watch the video, I think, and I shoot you back a response. So that's how Loom works. It's a free service. You can record up to 5 minute videos. You can shoot it to me as many as you want because you're my coaching student. We can go back and forth. So you get email support with me, you get the group coaching calls on Zoom, you get the Loom video support, and you get chat support. So chat, you can use your phone, you can use a computer, and you can chat. It's fast. And it's me, it's not AI. The other thing that is included with coaching is your list of local community banks and credit unions that are interviewed. So the $7 list of banks, those are the top 446 banks in the country. They're great. Wouldn't it be nice if you could have someone call those banks for you? So what we offer is inside of coaching is we give you our bank list for your state. So if you look at the funding database in New Jersey, for example, it's about 7 or 8 banks. So every state you look at, it's going to be right around 7 or 8 banks. But my coaching list is even more. Joe, there's more than 446 banks? Yeah, there's thousands. So what we did is in each state, instead of just looking at like top 10 banks in each state, we did like in Jersey, it's like the top 138 banks. In Texas, 500 banks. In Florida, 200 banks. In California, 150 banks. We called all 50 states and we interviewed those banks for you. And then we tell you which banks offer their own business credit card, which ones offer business lines of credit, who offers products through a third party, or who offers it in-house. We give you sample applications. We tell you which bureau they pull. So anyways, if that's something you want to do, coaching is month to month. There's no long-term commitment. And all you need to do is click the link inside of the Zoom chat. You'll be brought to a page that looks like this. And then just click for apply for coaching. You'll then do a call with Greg. We'll see if we're a good match and he'll onboard you. The price of coaching will be revealed to you during your application. It's the same price for everybody, but we don't tell the price up front. So you just it takes a minute and 30 seconds to apply. You click apply now, and then you will see the price. And then you could be like, nah, I'm not doing that. And then you can just leave. Or you could say, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's not 10 grand like Joe's competitor. It's not $3,500 like Joe's competitor. It's way less. And he doesn't charge you a piece of the money he gets you. That's really cool. Let me go ahead and book a call. And then you'll be able to book a call. We'll see if things make sense for the two of us. And then we'll onboard you into coaching. All right, so that's my little commercial. Thank you. Nobody left. That's a good sign. If you ever forget how to get there, go to bcwcoaching.com. I would love to work with you. All right, next up, ironically, Brian is asking the question, do you offer a list or context of the bank? So if you look at if you were quick and you saw the list I brought up in Jersey, and we did that for every state, most of the banks we have the contact information of the point of contact at the bank. But I will tell you that it's actually more important. So even though the answer is half yes, It's actually more important that you get your own contact and start. If you don't learn that skill of how to get banks to work with you, like I talked about in the beginning of this call, you're gonna have trouble. So the advantage of the list is really not so much the fact that we tell you who we interviewed. We call every bank 3 times. We write down their name and number and all that. But it's more of you learning because it's not done for you. Remember, I'm teaching you what you need to do. So it's more of you learning, oh, okay, I know this bank is a hot lender. We can see that they were interviewed, but now I need to learn how to talk to the bank. And that's why we have training on how to do that. Tasha says this has been awesome. So glad I found it. Found you. All right. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm pumped. Okay, next question comes from Jesse. I'm actually close to the end of the list, which is perfect because I was aiming for an hour. Jesse says, "Hi Joe. I'm Jesse. Wondering if I have bad credit, should I be fixing it now? But is it worth trying to get my net 30 and build my credit?" The answer is yes. What's the best way to go about it? So yeah, do both at the same time. Boost up the business credit score while you're improving your personal credit score. I'm gonna double check if we missed any questions in a second. Chris says, "What's the best way you see right now to stack lending together to get the most money from banks and alternative lending?" So what we do is 5 to 6 applications at a time. And at a time nowadays, in this year, 2025, that means within a week. And then you wait 60 days and you do your next round of funding. You do not have to do all of them in the same night at midnight. Kimberly says, "What's the best bank? No doc in Illinois." You would want to check the list and just do the work. But off the top of my head, it's PNC. I know is there and a great bank to work with. And they offer their own business credit cards. And I've gotten a lot of funding from them. But just make sure you're doing the work. So I think that's all the questions. All right. At this point, we're pretty much wrapped up. Thank you for jumping on this call. I'll do some housekeeping announcements, but you can leave if you want. If you're not on our text message community and you want more invites to these types of calls, oh, my keyboard actually, we've been on the call so long, my keyboard died on me. All right, we're back online. So text me the word. If you're already in the community, you don't have to keep texting, okay? So anyways, the phone number to text if you want to join our text message community is 908-215-7082. Okay. So that's our text message community, 908-215-7082. And we did this month, just in June alone, we did a hot seat, which is where I take somebody at random and we do a one-on-one call for 30 minutes on YouTube, but it's a coaching call, which is kind of cool. And then we also did this Ask Joe call, which is a service I already provide, but I invited anyone that bought the funding database as well. You had to have joined the text message community if you wanted to get some of these special invites. So next month, I'll probably be doing the same thing, another live call. There are bonus trainings that are not on my email list. It's not inside the course. You can only get it if you join the text message community. So if you don't like texting, don't join, but you would text the word community to 908-215-7082. All right. Text the phrase community to 908-215-7082. So the next call we'll do at the end of July. Joyce says, "My sole prop business," I don't think I answered this, "has been around for 8 years, but my LLC is just over a year old. What do I use?" That's a complicated answer. So you can use both. I would prefer using the LLC. A few banks will let you use the sole prop to qualify. You can use both. I mean, that's the simple answer. Once your LLC is over 2 years old, though, that's definitely going to be my favorite. It's going to be a lot easier to get funding with that. Right now, they're both kind of similar. So to me, I'd rather put my energy on the LLC, but that's more of a preference. All right, thank you. All right, guys, that's it. That's the Ask Joe call. Kind of cool, huh? So you submit questions ahead of time. I answer them on the call. I also read the chat the best I can. I keep up with that. If you want to do coaching with me, go to bcwcoaching.com or find the link and just apply for coaching. It takes a minute and a half, and then you can book a call with us and discuss working with me in our group coaching program. Michelle says, "Thank you, Joe. Awesome as always. You're welcome." Joyce says, "Thanks. You're welcome." I hope you saw a lot of value in that. Thank you to everyone that bought the funding database. Those banks are incredible. Don't forget you can grab banks that are near you in other states that are not in your state and get funding from them as well. And with that, enjoy the summer, enjoy the heat wave. All right, bye for now.